Welcome back to the deep dive. And if you are listening to this, just take a deep breath because the wait is finally over. We are coming to you figuratively from the Bahrain International Circuit. It is February 15th, 2026. The engines have just gone silent after 3 days of, well, absolute madness.
It really has been.
And the entire world of Formula One has just been flipped on its head.
Yeah, and we have to be clear. This is not your standard new season. This isn't just an evolution of last year's car. It's a full-on revolution.
Completely.
We're talking brand new regulations, totally new car concepts, and the big one, the 2026 power units. This is probably the biggest reset the sport has seen in, what, over a decade?
Oh, easily. It feels like someone just took the whole F1 chessboard and just threw all the pieces on the floor.
Yeah.
The old hierarchy, who's fast, who's slow.
Gone.
Totally gone. So that's our mission today. We're going to try and pick up those pieces. We're sifting through the data from the last 3 days of testing, February 11th to the 13th.
And we've got a lot to go on. We have paddock reports, some really good deep dives from Lawrence Barretto over at F1.com, and some very telling quotes from the drivers.
A little paranoid, some of them. So we need to figure out 3 things. Who absolutely nailed these new rules? Who is secretly panicking? And maybe most importantly, who is just playing poker with us?
And there's a lot of poker being played.
Oh, yeah. But before we get to the bluffing, we have to talk about the one team that looks like it just slapped a royal flush right down on the table.
Has to be Red Bull.
It has to be. And let's be honest, this was not a guaranteed outcome, was it?
Not at all. A massive, massive risk.
Okay, let's unpack that because the context is so important here. For the first time ever, Red Bull is a full-blown engine manufacturer. Right. They split with Honda, they partnered with Ford, and they built this whole Red Bull Powertrains division from literally nothing in Milton Keynes.
It's a project that's been, 3.5 years in the making, and the whole narrative, the whole fear going into this week was...
Is it going to blow up?
Is it going to blow up? Exactly. Building a modern F1 hybrid engine is, it's basically rocket science.
Yeah.
It takes manufacturers decades to get right. Red Bull tried to do it in about 40 months.
And Max Verstappen himself was joking about it. He said something like, no one really expected that we would go out of the garage without exploding.
And he's half joking, but he's also being deadly serious about the risk. But the verdict from Bahrain, the Red Bull Ford Powertrain, isn't just surviving. It is the standout winner of this entire test.
But who did not explode?
It did the absolute opposite of explode. Between the main Red Bull team and the Racing Bulls team, who also run the engine, they put in 670 laps.
Wow.
That is a staggering amount of mileage for what Verstappen called their little baby project.
Okay, but reliability is one thing. Finishing is great, but you don't get points for just participating. Is it fast?
The data suggests it is. Incredibly fast. And this is where it gets really fascinating from a tech point of view. We're hearing that rival teams, they're all crunching each other's GPS data. And they are describing the Red Bull advantage as scary.
Scary. That is not a word you hear from teams like Mercedes or Ferrari unless they mean it. What are they seeing?
It all comes down to energy deployment. So with these new 2026 rules, the electrical side is huge. It's almost 50% of the total power. The whole game is about how you harvest that energy and then how efficiently you deploy it. And the GPS traces show Red Bull can just keep that electrical power on for longer down the straights than anyone else.
So paint a picture for me. I'm in a Mercedes. I'm side by side with a Red Bull down the main straight. What happens?
Okay, so halfway down the straight, your car, the Mercedes, might have to start clipping. That's when the system cuts the electrical boost to save battery for the rest of the lap.
You're out of juice.
You're out of juice. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Red Bull next to you just keeps pulling. Mercedes' own estimate is that Red Bull is gaining a full second on the straights.
A full second.
A full second. Purely from that deployment advantage.
That's a different category of performance.
It is. And there's a specific technical nugget that seems to explain how they're doing it. It's not just better batteries.
Okay, lay it on us. What's the secret?
It seems to be in their gearbox.
The gearbox?
Really?
Yes.
The reports are suggesting Red Bull has designed a gearbox that allows for incredibly aggressive, rapid downshifts.
Okay, explain that to me like I'm not an engineer. Why does shifting down harder help the engine?
Because when you downshift that aggressively, you can keep the engine revs screaming high, even while you're braking hard for a corner.
Gotcha.
High revs mean the MGUK, that's the generator unit, is spinning faster. So it's harvesting energy from the braking at a much, much higher rate. They were literally refilling their battery faster than their rival.
That is absolutely genius. They've turned a mechanical component into an energy weapon?
That's the perfect way to describe it. It's this recharge functionality that creates a virtuous cycle. Better downshifts mean better recharging, which means more power for longer on the next straight.
And the other teams can see it. Carlos Sainz, he's normally got a great poker face, but he admitted Red Bull just looks a step ahead.
And you can just hear the relief in Verstappen's voice. He called it amazing to see. They babied this project, and it turns out their baby is an Olympic sprinter.
Okay, so Red Bull is the clear benchmark. That's our headline. But that begs the huge question. If they're way out front, where are the other giants? Where are Mercedes and Ferrari?
And this is where we walk into the sandbagging zone.
For anyone new, sandbagging is the fine art of pretending you're slow when you're actually very, very fast.
Exactly. But this year it feels different. It's more like a mystery novel. Let's start with Mercedes. Their week was, well, it was chaotic.
Chaotic is a good word. They looked great in their shakedown in Barcelona, didn't they?
They did, but that was in the cold. They get to hot Bahrain, and suddenly the car is not happy at all. They had suspension problems. They had an engine anomaly that cost them a ton of track time.
So the narrative for 2 days was Mercedes is in trouble.
Total trouble. But then, in classic Mercedes fashion, a plot twist.
Day 3.
On the final day, they just go out and casually set the 2 fastest times of the entire test.
So what is it? Are they broken or are they secretly brilliant? It feels like they're gaslighting the entire paddock.
They might be. And it's not just us saying it. Charles Leclerc said it outright. His quote was, "I think Mercedes is hiding a massive amount."
Which is the perfect pivot to Ferrari, because if Mercedes is playing mind games, Ferrari is practically invisible.
Ferrari's strategy was fascinating. They brought what they openly called a Specca car.
And what does that mean in plain English?
It means it's a baseline model. It's a vanilla car. They weren't there to set purple sectors. They were just there to make sure the real-world car behaved like the car in the wind tunnel.
Oh, okay.
They've already said a big upgrade is coming for the second test next week.
But even in a vanilla car, our spies in the paddock must have spotted something, right?
Oh, they did. There's one specific area where Ferrari seems to have an edge: race starts.
Interesting. Why are starts so difficult with these new power units?
It's all about turbo lag. We lost the MGUH in the 2026 rules, which was a little electric motor that kept the turbo spooled up. Without it, there's a risk of a delay. You hit the throttle, and nothing for a split second.
Right.
The Ferrari engine seems to minimize that lag better than anyone else.
So when the lights go out, they just get a cleaner, more instant launch off the line.
Exactly. It's a subtle thing, but if you can gain a position before you even get to turn 1, that can define your whole race.
I want to go back to something Leclerc said, though, because it really explains the whole mood of this test. He was talking about how hard it is to actually know who is fast.
This is probably the most important takeaway for anyone trying to understand this. Leclerc said that under the old rules, there were maybe 2 or 3 ways to hide your performance.
Right, you run with heavy fuel, you turn the engine down. The standard tricks.
The standard tricks, yeah. We could usually spot them. But now, with these incredibly complex 2026 hybrid systems, Leclerc says there are 10 or 15 ways to mask your true speed.
15 ways? I mean, that sounds almost paranoid.
It's just engineering reality. Think about all the new variables. You can deliberately change your energy recovery maps. You can tell the car to clip early on the straights to make it look slow. You can alter the torque delivery. You can even simulate an overheating problem.
So when we look at the GPS for Mercedes or Ferrari, and we see them looking a bit sluggish, we could be watching a performance, a completely fabricated reality.
We could be. They might be stress testing their worst-case scenarios on purpose. That's why Leclerc says he's being really cautious. He knows Red Bull showed their hand. He suspects everyone else is still holding all their best cards.
It's like a magic trick. You know you're being deceived, but you have no idea how they're doing it.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, let's move away from the big 3 for a minute. I want to talk about a story that genuinely surprised me. The new kid on the block, Cadillac.
The great American hope, yeah.
When a new team joins F1, it's usually a bit of a disaster. I remember teams showing up 5 seconds off the pace, bits falling off the car. It's chaos. And Cadillac started from a literal blank sheet of paper.
No history, no old car to learn from, nothing.
And yet, they did not look like rookies.
Not at all. I mean, just look at the raw mileage numbers. They completed over 1,700 kilometers.
Put that into context for us.
Okay, so that's about 5 full Grand Prix distances. More importantly, that is more mileage than established teams like Alpine, more than Mercedes, and more than Aston Martin.
Hold on, a brand new team did more laps than Mercedes.
Yes. It just speaks volumes about their preparation. They had their drivers, Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, doing full-on race simulations.
And that is a very smart, experienced driver pairing to have.
Exactly. You hire experience to guide you. Now, was it perfect? No. They had what they called niggles. Perez had a throttle sensor issue. Bottas had a cooling problem.
But every single team has niggles in testing.
That's the point. It's not about if things break. It's about how quickly you can diagnose and fix them. And the reports were that the Cadillac mechanics were efficient. They got the car back out there. They're not just participating. They look competent. They look like they belong.
That is just great for the sport. But speaking of the opposite of that, we have to discuss the team that seems to be in a real crisis, Aston Martin.
Yeah, Barretto pretty much called them the losers of the test, and you just can't argue with the data. It looks bad.
This was meant to be the next super team. They hired Adrian Newey, the greatest designer in F1 history, the man behind all those Red Bull championships. Everyone thought, Newey plus Aston Martin's money. It's going to be magic. What happened?
Reality happened. Turns out even Adrian Newey can't create more hours in a day. The problem was timing. Newey only joined the team in March of 2025 because of his old contract.
So he was late to the party.
Very late. By the time he could really sink his teeth into the 2026 car design, they were already way behind schedule.
How far behind are we talking?
He admitted that their car model hit the wind tunnel 4 months later than everybody else's.
4 months in F1 development, that's an eternity.
It's like you're showing up for a marathon and the other runners are already at mile 10. You're just starting so far back. And it shows. They had the lowest lap count of any team, just 206 laps.
Williams did more than double that.
Double. And Lance Stroll, who, he usually tries to be optimistic, he flat out said he thinks they're 4.5 seconds off the pace.
Ouch. 4.5 seconds is... That's not even the same formula.
It's a monumental gap.
Yeah.
And it's not just the late start. It's the sheer complexity of everything they've taken on.
Right, because it's not just a new car, it's a new everything for them.
Correct. They've got a new engine from Honda, a new fuel supplier with Aramco, and for the very first time, they're making their own gearbox and rear suspension in-house.
They used to just buy those parts off the shelf from Mercedes.
Yep. They used to just get a reliable box of parts and bolt it on. Now they're trying to design, manufacture, and integrate all of it all at once while starting 4 months late. It's a perfect storm.
So Adrian Newey has a mountain to climb.
A huge one. They know they're on the back foot. This is not going to be a quick fix.
And while we're talking about struggles, we should touch on the rookie everyone's watching, Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, a tough start to his second year.
I mean, he comes in with all this hype, and his test just looks so frustrating.
It really was. And through no fault of his own, mostly, he was just a victim of all those Mercedes reliability gremlins we talked about. He ended up with the lowest lap count of any single driver. Only 94 laps.
That's brutal. You just need the seat time.
You do. But there was a silver lining, a really bright one.
Yeah.
On day 3, they finally gave him a clean run. The car worked. And he set the fastest lap of the entire test.
Wow. Talk about making a statement. Just give me a car that runs and I'll show you what I can do.
Pretty much. The speed is there. The talent is obviously there. He just needs the car to hold together for him.
All right, let's wrap up our team by team with a bit of a redemption story. Williams.
The comeback kids of the test, for sure.
This looked so bad for them initially. They completely missed the Barcelona shakedown because the car wasn't built. Production delays, that is usually a 5-alarm fire for a team.
It's a huge red flag. Normally, you miss a shakedown, you show up to the test, and you just spend 3 days putting out fires. But that's not what they did. They got to Bahrain, and they just ran a marathon.
They tied with McLaren for the most laps, didn't they?
They did. 422 laps.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, they just put their heads down and focused purely on mileage. No glory runs, just data, data, data.
Just grinding.
Total grind. And the reports say the car is still overweight. It's still a bit of a handful to drive. It's not perfect. But to go from not having a car built to topping the mileage charts in a week, that shows real resilience. They caught up.
So, if we zoom out, what's the big picture? We have a dominant-looking Red Bull. We have Mercedes and Ferrari playing this high-stakes game of poker. We have a surprisingly solid Cadillac and Aston Martin in real trouble. and a Williams team fighting its way back.
That's the lay of the land after round one.
And the crazy part is, this was only the first test. The clock is already ticking for the next one.
It really is. The second test kicks off in just 3 days, February 18th to the 20th.
And how does the mindset change for that second test? Is it more of the same?
No, it shifts completely. The first test is about survival. It's system checks, data correlation, making sure the car doesn't fall apart. The second test is where you start refining performance.
So this is where we see the qualifying simulations, the real race runs.
Exactly. This is where they'll start trying to really dial in the car for that first race in Australia. This is where hopefully some of those sandbags might start to come off.
I cannot wait to see if Ferrari actually brings that big upgrade they've been talking about.
That's the moment to watch. If they bolt on a new floor and new wings and suddenly jump a second up the timesheets, the entire narrative flips on its head.
It's incredible how fast the story changes in this sport.
That's F1 in a new regulation era. The development curve is almost vertical right now. What we saw this week could be totally obsolete by the time we get to Melbourne.
So what's the final takeaway then? Why should we care about all these lap times if half of them might be fake?
Because it sets the stage perfectly. Red Bull's advantage looks real, it's rooted in physics, in a clever engineering solution. That's probably not a bluff, but the gap from them to everyone else, that could be a total illusion.
It all comes back to Leclerc's 15 ways to hide performance.
It does, and I think that's the final thought to leave you with. We've looked at the data, the lap times, the mileage. We've built this picture in our minds. But if there are now 15 different electronic and mechanical ways to mask a car's true potential, how much of what we just watched was real engineering, and how much of it was just theatrical deception?
We just watched a 3-day play, and we have no idea what the real story is until the curtain rises in Melbourne.
Exactly. The truth is still hiding in the garage.
I love that. The mystery is half the fun. We will be back after that second test to see if we can finally crack the code. Until then, thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.